I'll be talking with you guys about modifiers. So, what are modifiers? Modifiers are words, phrases, or clauses that provide description in a sentence. Modifiers bring sentences to life. Well, how do modifiers bring sentences to life? Can I get a volunteer to read this boring sentence right here?
The boy ate pizza.
That's a boring sentence because you don't know how the boy ate the pizza. You don't know if he enjoyed the pizza or anything about the boy or the pizza. So, who wants to read this much better sentence?
The hungry boy greedily ate the tasty pizza.
Exactly. So we have hungry modifying boy, greedily modifying ate, and tasty modifying the pizza. Modifiers should point clearly to the word they are modifying. So first we're going to talk about some limiting modifiers. Limiting modifiers are modifiers that limit the meaning of another word in a sentence. The limiting modifier must go right before the word that it is modifying. And here are some common limiting modifiers. We have only, hardly, almost, even, not, just, simply, and nearly. Those are just some examples of them. Alright, we have 6 sentences here.
I am hardly ready to go to school.
Alright. Hardly is modifying or limiting ready. Instead of just saying I'm ready to go to school, you are hardly ready. Therefore it's limiting the action ready. Does that make sense? Alright, 2.
I am not going to school.
Not is limiting the word going. Instead of going to school, you're not going to school.
Should interview only college students.
Alright. This means that the only students that you are interviewing are college students. Therefore, it's limiting the students that you're interviewing. 4.
Everyone simply wants pizza.
It's as simple as that.
Becky gave almost $500 to the charity.
Becky almost gave $500 to the charity.
These 2 sentences are pretty much the same, except the position of the modifier. Now, does anyone want to share the difference between these 2 sentences?
The first one is saying that she eagerly gave about $500, and then the second one is saying she almost gave to the charity anyway.
Yes. So the first one is specifying that she almost gave that amount of money. And the second one is saying that she almost gave money, but I mean she could have given none at all. She just almost gave some to the charity. Which leads me to my next topic. Why is the placement so important? So we have 4 sentences here, and they're pretty much the same except for the position of the modifier, of the limiting modifier.
Last Friday, Grant and Maggie only went to the party to see their old friend.
So what is that sentence saying?
She only went to the party to see their friend.
That one's saying that they only went to the party that last Friday. That means that's all they did last Friday.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Last Friday, Grant and Maggie went to the only party to see their old friend.
All right, what do you think that one's saying?
There was only one party.
The party they attended was the only party yet, that Friday.
Last Friday, Grant and Maggie went to the party only to see their old friend.
So what is that one saying?
The only person that they wanted to see at the party was their old friend.
They went only, that was their only reason
Yeah,
for
yeah.
going to the party, to see their friend. And 4?
Last Friday, Grant and Maggie went to the party to see their only old friend.
And what is that one saying to you?
They only had one friend.
Yeah, that's their only old friend whom they went to see. So that shows that it's important to correctly place your modifier in the right spot to accurately convey what you're trying to say to them. And now we're going to talk about misplaced modifiers. Unlike limiting modifiers, modifying phrases and clauses do not have to be right next to the word they are modifying, as long as the meaning is still clear in your sentence. Unfortunately, the misplacement of modifiers is a common mistake when trying to write clear sentences. Some writers often struggle to accurately convey what they really mean. Now, yeah, I have that problem too sometimes. Because sometimes it's clear in my own mind what I'm trying to say, but when the reader tries to read it, they're like, what are you trying to say? So, here's an example of a misplaced modifier. The soccer player returned to the clinic where he had undergone emergency surgery in 2009 in a limousine sent by Adidas. Does anyone see the problem with that sentence?
He had surgery and then
Yeah, that's what your sentence is saying, and hopefully that's not correct. So, does anyone want to try to fix it? The one I had was traveling in a limousine sent by Adidas. The soccer player returned to the clinic where he had undergone emergency surgery. There are different ways that you can fix it, as long as the meaning is still clear what you're trying to say. Let's try some more.
It was reported that 3 officers were robbed by the Virginia police last week.
So what does that one say?
3 officers were robbed by the Virginia police last week.
Yeah, pretty much. That the Virginia police robbed the officers, and hopefully that's not right. I think what they're trying to say is that the Virginia police were the ones that reported the robbery. For the correction, I have last week, the Virginia police reported that 3 officers were robbed.
My brother is a strong guy with a thick mustache weighing 200 pounds.
What's wrong with that one?
It says the mustache weighs 200 pounds.
Now, hopefully that's not correct either. You want to try to fix it?
Weighing 200 pounds, my brother's a strong guy with a thick mustache.
Yeah. Good job. And I just reversed it. My brother is a 200-pound strong guy with a thick mustache. 3?
I saw my mom and brother on the way to the store.
Yes. And now the problem with this sentence, what do you think this sentence is trying to say?
Saw my mom and brother on the way to the store.
Yeah, it's pretty clear, but you don't know who's the one who's going to the store. You're not sure you're the one going to the store and you happen to see them, or your brother and your mother are on their way to the store and you happen to see them. So you get where some ambiguity can occur there? And depending on what you're trying to say, you fix it according to that. So, on the way to the store, I saw my mom and brother. In this new sentence, it's clear that I'm the one going to the store and that I happen to see my mom and brother. Sometimes ambiguity can occur due to the misplacement of a modifier. In this ambiguous example, the exchange students we met for coffee occasionally questioned us about our latest slang. Does anyone see the problem with that one? Before we try to fix it, what do you think the problem is with it?
You don't know if you occasionally meet them for coffee or they occasionally question you.
Yes, that's the problem with the sentence. You have the word occasionally right here in between these two. And you're not sure if occasionally is modifying how often they met for coffee or how often they were questioned about the latest slang. Does that make sense? All right, so there can be 2 different corrections made depending on what the writer really means. Yeah.
The exchange students we occasionally met for coffee questions us about our latest slang.
Beautiful. Did everyone hear that? Which is, I think that's exactly what I have right. The exchange students we occasionally met for coffee questioned us about our latest slang. Occasionally is modifying how often they met for coffee. And now the second correction, I have the exchange students we met for coffee questioned us occasionally about our latest slang. And occasionally in this one is modifying how often they question their latest slang. All right, now we're going to talk about some dangling modifiers. Dangling modifiers fail to refer logically to any word in the sentence. This can be difficult to spot in your own writing because something may be clear in your own mind, but not clear to the reader.
To satisfy our mother, the piano had to be practiced every day.
What's the problem with that?
The piano is trying to satisfy her.
Yeah, it sounds like the piano is trying to satisfy her mother, and I don't think that's possible. So, the big problem, why it's a dangling modifier, is that the actual subject that you're trying to modify is not there in the sentence. And does anyone want to read the second one?
Deciding to join the Navy, the recruiter enthusiastically shook Joe's hand.
What do you think the problem with that one is?
It's saying the recruiter decided to join the Navy instead of Joe.
Yeah, it sounds like the recruiter is the one deciding to join the Navy when they're already in the Navy because they're the recruiter. So both of these falsely modify the wrong word, and the intended word to be modified is not stated. Therefore, dangling modifier. So this can be fixed in 2 ways. The first way, you can name the actor and the subject of the sentence. So like in the piano example we have right here, the modifier is to satisfy her mother, and then the subject, right now we have is the piano as the subject being modified. But you can change that and make the actual girl be the subject. To satisfy her mother, Julie had to practice the piano every day. Stating the subject as Julie. And the next way to fix it is name the actor in the modifier. So in our second example, we have decided to join the Navy as the modifier. And right now it's modifying the recruiter. So we can put the actual person in the modifier. Like when Joe decided to join the Navy, the recruiter enthusiastically shook his hand. Does that make sense? All right. Now we're going to try some examples.
Running for the
Yeah.
bus, my book fell in the mud.
What's the problem with that one?
The book is running for the bus.
Yeah, it sounds like the book is running for the bus. You want to try to fix it?
My book fell in the mud running for the bus.
It still sounds like the book is running, right? All right. So we can try to fix it in the two ways that we mentioned earlier. We can actually name the subject with the modifier or name the subject afterwards. So I have, when I was running for the bus, my book fell in the mud. I put the subject with the modifier so it's clear that I'm the one who's running for the bus. And then my book happened to fall in the mud. Does that make sense? All right. Can you do the second one?
Upon entering the doctor's office, a skeleton caught my attention.
All right. What do you think is wrong with that one?
A skeleton went in the doctor's office?
Yeah, it sounds like the skeleton is the one walking into the doctor's office. And that would be creepy. I hope that's not right. So, you want to try to fix it?
When I entered the doctor's office, a skeleton caught my attention.
Beautiful. So you put the subject with the modifier. Good job. When I entered the doctor's office, a skeleton caught my attention. And I just did it the different way. I put the subject after the modifier. Upon entering the doctor's office, I noticed a skeleton. So it's clear that I'm the one entering the doctor's office.
Though only 16 years old, the college accepted Martha's application.
What do you think is the problem with that one?
Sounds like the college is only 16 years old.
Yeah, it sounds like the college is the one that's 16 years old, when it's actually Martha. So do you want to try to fix it?
Though Martha was only 16 years old, the college accepted her application.
Beautiful. I put the subject with the modifier to show that Martha is the one who's 16 years old and that the college accepted her application. If you guys remember that we had with the misplaced modifiers, like with the limousine example, we simply moved the limousine to the beginning of the sentence to connect it with the modifier, right? Now with dangling modifiers, you can't fix a dangling modifier by simply moving it around because the subject is still not stated in your sentence. So we tried with the, let's say the skeleton example. We have upon entering the doctor's office, a skeleton caught my attention. Sometimes we might try to switch it. You know, oh, if I switch it, it'll make it sound better, right? So let's try it. A skeleton caught my attention upon entering the doctor's office. You think that works? No, it still sounds like the skeleton is the one entering the doctor's office. So you have to make sure you state the subject in there. The actual subject. So here's a little graph that I found to help you check for dangling modifiers. The first question you can ask yourself is, does an opening phrase suggest an action without naming the actor? Back to our skeleton one. Upon entering the doctor's office, that's your opening phrase. Is the subject stated in there? No, it's not. If the subject was stated in there, then you wouldn't have a problem. But since the answer to your question right here is yes, move on to the next question. Does the subject of the sentence name the actor? A skeleton caught my attention. Does that name the actual actor? No, it doesn't. Therefore, you have a dangling modifier, and you need to revise it. Modifiers. Hopefully, by using modifiers properly, you can write clear sentences.